I'm live! Hooray! If people have the ability to hear me appropriately, feel free to give me a thumbs up or a comment in the chat or anything like that. And I'm gonna do the thing. So I'm simulcasting on Instagram Live as well. And if you see my eyes wander off at any point during this chat, it's because I'm consulting some of my notes. I need help with things like this. All right. Pressed the live stream thingy on Insta. Cool, cool, cool. Technically, according to my timekeeping devices, we have like 1 more minute. So yeah, I don't want to just sit here and be boring. But now I see that it is 7 and I can talk about important things. So before I chat about kind of my attitude towards my fitness business and practice and everything like that, um, I want to actually touch on a logistical thing that has literally come up in the past couple of days. Um, I do not currently have the ability to teach my non yoga fitness classes, and I cannot teach live private in person students at my personal teaching space until further notice. So, all of my non yoga movement classes are pretty much going to be on hiatus until further notice. So, I wanted to let everybody know about that and just kind of do a little announcement about that because that's a recent update. I will post all over social media when classes are uncanceled. um, but for now, Zoom yoga at 10 a.m. tomorrow is on. We'll be doing our hatha yoga practice. Wrangling the camera will be a tiny little bit more challenging, but other than that, I plan to proceed as normal. It's just that, yeah, more involved fitness classes, I can't do in person right now because reasons. Yeah. Um, so I wanted to come on here and talk about a topic that I've been circling and cycling around mentally to a certain degree lately, because it is that time of year. It's that time of year when the diet and weight loss industry is making most of their money. They are, in all honesty, let's be plain spoken about it, trying to exploit people's insecurities right now. Um, and I personally, as a fitness and movement instructor, am not on board with that. So I wanted to come out here and come out about that and be very specific about that. And I'm going to touch on a few different topics here. Okay. So first of all, what I want to say is the core value that I like to put forward in my fitness teaching is essentially the statement all bodies are welcome to the best of my ability to teach you. And that's just it. Like, I'm not right for every single person out there at all costs. Um, but I can tell you within this that I have had some specialized on the job experiences with the following groups of people given my student base. Okay. So, this is the stuff that I have lived experience with, the groups of people, the demographics that I have lived experience with as a fitness and movement instructor facilitator. I have a lot of experience with folks of various ages, particularly um, female bodied people over 60 years old. I have a lot of experience with folks of various races and ethnicities, cultural backgrounds, folks of a variety of gender expressions. I myself am a gender diverse person. I will get more into that a little bit later because this came up in conversation recently. I have a decent amount of experience with people of various sizes, and I'm going to be even more specific about that. Specifically, experience with people um, who have fallen between the like less body fat category. So let's say folks who fit into straight sizes, um, to larger bodied people within the fat identifying community. I've heard this group of people referred to as small fats sometimes. Okay. Again, I know that the term fat is controversial for some people. I also have had a lot of students and clients who do prefer the term. No group of people is a monolith. So I am alternating between the terms larger bodied people and fat or fat identifying people. Okay. But I do have a decent amount of experience with some folks who fall into this category. I also have experience with students who might be experiencing an injury healing process who have chronic limitations or mobility issues. And this has ranged from like neurological stuff, with which I also have, um, to kind of chronic pain and chronic issues with certain areas of the body, all of that. I have a decent amount of experience as a movement and fitness instructor and facilitator, with individuals struggling with mental health issues who are wanting to take advantage of fitness's mental health benefits. And also, like yoga practice has a lot of mental health benefits. Okay. And I'm definitely not here to tell you that working with me will like fix or overarchingly heal all of this stuff overnight. There are a lot of things that I do not do. I am not currently working from a baseline of being a physical therapist or a physical therapist assistant. I am not a mental health professional. So, most of what I've mentioned should also be dealt with by a licensed clinician or somebody who's qualified and elevated within your cultural paradigm. Okay. Because I'm not all about being like global north centric here. Folks have a lot of indigenous healing paradigms that work for them. And I'm here for like basically anything that works for you. Um, but I will tell you that my students have seen some major improvements from choosing to pursue the work with me and to stick with it. Um, you will definitely you will likely track at least some level of benefits if you stick with the work for a little bit. It's also a huge priority for me as a fitness and movement instructor to state that I do not feel comfortable supervising dietary changes or weight loss. That is not within the scope of what I do. Um, I have had my own issues with not so much with food, but with body image and self perception in the past. I feel most comfortable leaving that vague here on social media because these types of online spaces are trauma vampires and I don't need to air all of that out. But given my experience with this particular subject, my lived experience, I'm a highly inappropriate person to be leading changes like that for anyone. Dietary stuff, health coaching, I guess like that's another kind of term that's come up in this world over the past few years. I am absolutely not qualified to do certain things like that. And if you hear me talking, in a way that seems like I think I am qualified to address that, um, please check me on that. Um, and I do suggest that you definitely speak with your doctor first and foremost. If you're interested, first of all, if you're just starting like a movement or workout routine for the very first time in your life or in a while, or if you're interested in pursuing like actually changing your body composition, losing weight, losing fat, things like that, I suggest that you speak with your doctor. Even though the medical industry is racist and fat phobic. So just take it with a grain of salt as well. Um, and this is like one of those tricky subjects too, because I deeply support anyone out there who wants to make positive changes for their overall well being. At the same time, I also have some major issues with how weight loss and diet culture function. Okay. So, I'm just going to throw this out there. Like maybe people, fat folks, like want to start to think about supporting fitness instructors who are also fat folks. There are plenty of fit fat folks out there, fit larger bodied folks. Um, Maybe that is a better person to lead your experience because there are a lot of things within that particular lived experience that I am not going to be able to speak to very well. Um, and let me tell you, like, I've absolutely come across larger bodied fitness enthusiasts who could out Zumba, run, weight, lift, hike my butt into the ground. um, and, I also know that people who want to pursue a weight releasing experience would rather take the wisdom from somebody who's lived through that experience. And like, I personally think that makes the most sense too. So I really just kind of wanted to come here and talk about how, um, you know, within this very vulnerable time that seems to come up every year, where people might be choosing plans to try to change their bodies, perhaps make changes to their body makeup or weight. I really wanted to come forward with an active statement about this, and to just address it head on. And that doesn't mean I'm going to be like a really crappy instructor if you're a larger bodied or fat person. This is just me coming here and saying, like, there are certain things that I cannot and should not speak to in your experience and like in your journey of pursuing fitness. And perhaps maybe it's worth it to consider maybe other folks who look like my size shouldn't necessarily speak to it, either if they don't have lived experience with it, but maybe that's just me. Anyway, I want to bring up one last talking point. I know I've talked quite a while already. One last talking point, though. Um, I was asked by a client recently, like, is it necessary to have the languaging on your flyers and your website, like LGBTQ plus welcome, BLM, etc.? And I replied to her very kindly, gently, and respectfully, yes, absolutely. Okay. And I don't know how to kind of word that other than in completely plain spoken terms. As I said before, I am a gender diverse person myself. You might think I look like something, that's not how I identify. Some of the labels I might use for myself are gender fluid, gender diverse, agender, so person without a gender. I've recently started exploring multi-gender, um, queer, amongst other queer identified people I look at as well. Um, and I've heard gender expansive before. I really like that as well. So I identify with being all of those things. I use they and them pronouns. Um, so respect is a two-way street between me as an instructor and my clientele as well. Please use my correct name and pronouns. It's all over my literature, it's in my email signature, it's in a bunch of places, it's on my social media stuff, most of my social media stuff. That's like client facing anyway. So please be respectful of that because I've just made this big commitment to be respectful to you, and I know that people are still learning and people's capacities are limited and people have various issues going on. Um, but again, my reply to all of this stuff is making safety and inclusion for different groups of people, in my mind, is not a political act. And like my client asked me, it's like, oh, like, do you have to be political with this and that? And I'm like, dude, I wish I could walk down the street and not be politicized as a person. But like I am, and I am at the point in my life where that's not even my choice. So, am I going to put deliberate statements on all my literature saying, hey, these are the baselines of behaviors in my class, and if you do not stick to them, I have the right to politely ask you to leave because that is a priority for me and my spaces as well. And raking in my fee for a 1 hour class or whatever just to like not have the mutual respect or not be addressed appropriately, or to have another student in class come up with some weird stereotype or racist thing or whatever, that is unacceptable. And I don't mind taking a person aside and telling them why a comment is problematic. And I will do that in a discreet and respectful way. I know a lot of people don't think I'm capable of that, but I actually am, believe it or not, especially if people are paying. So yeah, there are just baseline behaviors in my classes that I will politely ask you to leave if you can't adhere to the basic standards. And again, I wish that who I was as a human being was not politicized. I wish I could walk down the street, have people identify me as I want to be identified without like having to be a one person pride parade every second of the day. Excuse me. And like have it not be anything. But we're still at the point in history where it is. So that is why I have those statements on my website and on some of my marketing. All of that said, I really want to support you and support folks in this new year, um, in just being better friends with their bodies. I'm also going to say this before I leave as well. I'm actually not super effective as an instructor at like targeting very, very, very directed goals when it comes to fitness. That is to say that, like, throughout the process of me teaching particular students, especially when I've had like private training students, it's come up that they have a goal going into it, and we kind of get sidetracked because there's other things we identify in the process. There's other kind of like muscular instabilities, or like the goal slightly morphs and changes in the process. So I just want to be here to remind everybody that like that is completely okay. It's okay to like change within the process of that as well. And you can be with yourself in integrity, and not have it feel like you failed in this like binaristic, like pass fail kind of situation. Like it's okay to just like shift your objectives when you're pursuing fitness or wellness, or just like better relationship with mind body, what however you want to approach this. All right, that was me going way too long once again. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody. So yeah, currently my one group class is 10 a.m. Hatha yoga on Thursdays on Zoom. I'm open to teaching. Um, Once I get the green light, I'm open to taking on more students. I'm open to more group Zoom classes. I'm located in the San Fernando Valley, so I'm open to some in-person stuff, depending. Please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you. Bye. Oh, and I'm L Faunt. I didn't introduce myself at the beginning. Silly me. I think I'm hungry for dinner. Okay, bye.